All right. We can see comment sections, and looks like we're in business. We are live. What's going on, everybody? How we doing tonight? Continuing with the theme of cleaning up this mess I have for a basement. Got some smaller piles of rings to do something with. I don't know what. Right now, I'm going to make a small little 3x3 cube. That's about all the rings I have left. I didn't have enough to make a 4x4 cube. So I settled for two 3x3 cubes. Does that make sense? It would probably make more sense if I had the little 3x3 cube with me, but here is a cube that is 15 rows on each side, right? So instead of making it this big, I'm making it like yay big. Because that's all I have the rings for. And it's, otherwise I'm just going to toss these rings. I don't necessarily want to do that, but they're pretty garbage. So I feel better using them for something. It is what it is. Anyway, last night we made this cute little capture of a 1-inch stainless steel ball bearing. Right? Just using European 6-in-1. If the 1-inch ball bearing had been 3/4 of an inch, I could have completely encased it in these 12 gauge 1/2-inch rings, but it's not meant to be. Then we made a keychain for my key fob for my work car. That worked out. Used up some old crappy rings on there. And then we made a small 3x3 cube. So tonight we're starting out with a small 3x3 cube, and we'll see what we get into. I'm looking at this Mail Artisans International League. It's a resource website that's been around for quite a while now. Unfortunately, no updates can be made to it, as it is in some kind of legal standing where no one can make changes to it, from what I understand. So there's a weave on there called RM8HC, which stands for Round Mail 8 Full Persian. No. Round Mail 8 Hilt Chain. And if you don't understand what that means, don't worry. I vaguely understand it, and I've been doing this for a long time. I know what round mail is. Excuse me. It's a... Weave names don't make any sense in a lot of cases. They call it round mail because it's round. Right? So, but hilt chain I've never made. So I'll have to figure that one out. And then RM8HC round mail 8 hilt chain is a combo weave similar to sandworm. Right? And if you watched any of my building of the 30-pound chainmail cube, you'll know that sandworm is a combination of two different weaves, full Persian and box weave. Hey Fuller, how you doing? It's going good. Got my first paycheck from a new job. Can't complain. Let's see here. Work is going well. As far as jobs go, it's a pretty good job. It's got to learn all the charting. It's probably my biggest obstacle. But yeah, payday for me. And then my kid did not want to read. He forgot his book at home. or he forgot his book at school. And so I have a pile of books like Hatchet and the Foxman, Redwall, Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, a few others. What is the freaking one? It's A Wrinkle in Time, right? So I had those from my childhood, and they just so happen, I think I did. Just so happens that he can read all of those books and take a quiz on them and get credit. What have I done here? That was right. So he was complaining and whining, and finally I made him read out loud to me. And after 20 minutes, he goes, "You know, I kind of like this book." It's like, yeah, it's a classic for a reason. So, other than the fire department being called on my kid's school this morning as we were all arriving, pretty uneventful day. Went and saw some patients with my preceptor, and at about noon I had a class I had to go to. Hilt chain. This weave is created by combining full Persian 6-in-1 and round mail. The ring ratio makes the chain immovable. Yeah, no, I read that and I looked at the picture and I was like, I have no idea how they did this, and it's not something I want to try on stream because I will just screw it up. Because we got our base layer done. Those of you who can't tell what this is, it's the base of a cube. You start with this, and then we'll have to double up a bunch of rings around the edges, and it'll be fine. But I was looking for a weave last night, and I knew I had it in my phone, but I didn't want to switch screens because it like grays out the TikTok screen. And I find that to be a rude thing to do to your viewers, so I didn't do it. And I haven't found it on my computer yet, but it's RM8HC. And I'm going to try and figure out how to make it, or if I even have the right rings for it. Cause it might be a useful chain to have here pretty soon for one of my projects. But also I need a project to use up these 12 gauge 1/2 inch rings. Right? Something small, not too big. Just to turn them into something. I don't want to order any more of those rings. I don't have any plan for them. So I just want to use them up, turn them into some kind of decorative thing, and then move on to the next project. You know what I mean? Get this workspace cleaned up a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff lying around all over the place. It's a dang mess. But it's getting better. You know? I haven't managed to be down here because I've been working. So I've really slowed to a crawl when it comes to getting stuff done, which is fine. I knew that was going to happen, and it sucks having all my time taken up by a job, but also, Like, the job is going to help in many ways improve the stream. Like, it'll pay for other cameras so I can walk around my basement and work on other tables, and it'll pay for other light setups and tripods and tools so I can make a cooler stream or make different stuff on stream. In addition to, you know, paying for my living expenses. So it's like I paid the wife back for, she put our new AC unit on her credit card. So I paid for my half. Right, I paid $1,000 towards my half. So I'm halfway done with paying her. Then I got to pay off my credit card again. And then I got to pay off some debts. And then there's a bunch of stuff around my house that needs to be fixed. So I'll get there. I want to be able to finish all the artwork on the bike. And I think that doing it this winter is a really good option. I still need to call my friend and ask him what his thoughts are. So, because I've got to take the bike to the shop, have them take off the front and rear fenders, the side panels, and the gas tank. Well, the side panels and the front and rear fenders I can... no, the side panels I can take off. They just pop off, right? The fenders and the gas tank, I can do the gas tank. That's not hard. But I don't trust myself to do the fenders. It's one of those YouTube jobs where I'd have to watch a dozen YouTube videos to figure out what I'm doing. And I have neither the time nor the space to remove them right now and have an engine sitting on a motorcycle frame precariously perched in my garage, right? So, like, yeah, I could do it. My garage is full. So, have the shop do it and then call it a day. And then I will take the pieces of the bike that I want hydro dipped down to a hydro dipper. Is that what they call them? What were we talking about last night where everything was a smith? Someone had put something like they were a cement smith or something, right? They're not a concrete guy, they're a cement smith. You know, you're not a carpenter, you're a woodsmith, right? So we came up with jack of all trades smith. I wrote it down. Like, I'll put it on a t-shirt at some point. But whoever does the hydro dipping, I guess they are a hydro dipping smith. For lack of a better term. I don't know what hydro dippers call themselves. It's probably just, you know, hydro dippers are us or something. We get the parts down to the hydro dipper. Get them hydro dipped, clear coated, sanded. Bring them back up, have the shop put them back on, and then if it's snowing, I'll trailer the bike home. Because I'm planning on doing this in the winter. So, we'll see. So I need to make a decision by, like, December. The end of November, December timeframe. And then, like, first thing next year, January 2nd, when the shop opens back up, have my bike there ready to be torn apart. That's my goal. Might not happen. I was only planning on doing the leather and chainmail work for the bike this year. The toolkit and the gas tank bib. That was my plan. So if that's all that ends up happening, I mean, it is what it is. But if I can get all the artwork done before April, May timeframe, when it's time to go riding again, I will be very happy. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is going quick. I spoke too soon. I realized that I have this JPL chain that I attempted to make with these rings that did not work out, and that's why I'm using up these rings on something else. That I still have to take this chain apart. So it's going quick, but it's going to slow down. I don't know why I said anything. So I do have a video popping off right now. It's one of the, oh look, a strawberry. Oh look, a strawberry. Right? That sound on TikTok. I don't know why, it just all of a sudden started getting views. Which is nice. I need to take that sound and use my big 30-pound cube, and then this cube, and then one of my smaller cubes, and then like a little 2x2 cube. Just to get that 30-pound cube some screen time. It's like that is one thing that I have not had time to do. Right, I got home, started dinner pretty much right away. Got dinner done, fed the family, then fought with my kid to get his reading done. Cleaned up the kitchen a little bit. And, just so you know, if anyone's heard me just complaining about the fact that the EMS pants I bought instead of scrub pants for my work, if anyone's heard me complaining about that, I'm a total hypocrite, because I sat down and I had like 5 Oreos and 5 Reese's Pieces Chips Ahoy, the chewy kind, that I picked up at the grocery store the other day. And I can say I want to fit into those pants all I want, but the reality is that my actions speak louder than my words. So I don't know if I'm ever going to fit into those pants. But I think they'll stretch out. They were more comfortable the second week. All right. So what else is going on? Everybody ready for Friday? My kids got the day off school. So I show up today and there's I think they had like 9 fire trucks show up. So I couldn't drop my kid off. I had to wait with him in the parking lot until they cleared the building. And it turns out that one of the light fixtures had broken and started smoking, and so there was an event. It just, it ended up just being an electrical problem, not the building being consumed by fire or anything. So that was nice. Took about 20 minutes for them to clear everything, which, not bad. And then I drove to work, and I was actually earlier to the site to see our patient, then my preceptor, who was running a little late. And so I even ended up not really being late, and I got lost on the way. So I missed a turn, so I thought I could just drive forward and then head north again. Not the case. So GPS had me turn all the way around. I was like, well, dang, man. It turns out there's like a lake in the way. So I guess that was a good reason to turn around. So we assessed some patients and treated some wounds, and I learned the charting system a little more, and excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it. Hang on. Sharing the live right as up. I don't know why. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock seems to roll around whenever I'm down here. And I just start sneezing. It is what it is. I think I've only ever had one stream that I had to shut down because I was having an allergy attack so bad. And it's always really funny because I'll be down here when I wasn't working. I would be down here 8, 9, 10 hours out of the day, sometimes more. I wouldn't have a single problem, and then I'd get ready to go stream, and all of a sudden my allergies are acting up. So it's probably like some dust in the camera or something. Who knows? It's got a tiny little high-pitched fan that sounds like tinnitus. And occasionally, it's easy to drown out because it sounds like my tinnitus. Go away, notification. I don't want to see you. You have so many aspect ratio questions. Well, I'll be honest. I'll answer as many of them as I can. But I too am limited in my understanding of aspect ratio. Now, what are your questions? And then I will... Either I know the answer or I know where you can find it, right? That's basically my shtick. It's like, I don't know everything there is to know about chainmail. I don't pretend to know at all. There are many people who know way more and have forgotten way more about chainmail than I could ever hope to know. So would a 5.7 and 6 AR work together okay, or would they be ugly? So in that case, the ratio isn't necessarily the problem. How close are the ring sizes? Because if you have, say, an 18 gauge ring that has a 6 or an AR of 6 and a 16 gauge ring that has an AR of 5.7, depending on the weave, they can look fine together. But if you have a 12 gauge ring that has an AR of 5.7 and a 14 gauge or a 20 gauge ring that has an AR of 6, right? It's not the size, it's how you use it. But the more similar they are in size, yeah. Trying to think, do I have any examples of projects where I used multiple different ring sizes? The 30-pound cube is one. Do I have any over there? Easy to grab. Oh, yeah, I've got one. Hang on. So there are 1, 2, 3 different ring sizes in this, all with different aspect ratios. And they go together just fine, right? The diameter is 1 millimeter smaller for one of them. The wire is the same. Oh, that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, if you're trying to make a weave that requires a 5.7 aspect ratio, like the weave is very specific to the AR, then you might run into problems. But if it's the same wire size, then, and one is just slightly smaller, I don't see why that would be like a glaring problem. So the aspect ratio is just the weave, or the aspect ratio is the ratio that you use to determine what weaves you can make with the ring size you have, right? It doesn't say whether or not those rings will go well together or not. And honestly, you're trying to find different colors to mix with the ones you sent? Oh, right on. Oh, yeah, okay. You had 10 millimeter rings for the project you were working on, and I sent you the 9 millimeter rings that I ordered, because they didn't have 10 millimeter rings. Come on, there we go. And you know what? I have another project that I just thought about where the wire diameter is slightly different. I've done something wrong here. I should stop and figure out what it is. This ring seems to be in the wrong place. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, so I have a project. It's a bottle wrap, and you'd never know it unless I showed you exactly where it is. But one of the rows of rings is a slightly smaller wire gauge. It's like 16 gauge rings and then one row of 18 gauge rings to make it fit the bottle. But, you know, you'd be hard pressed to find that, and you would have to be a pretty skilled chainmail artist to see it, or pretty experienced rather. Somebody comment so I can mute this bot. The 3 buttons are behind the heart. Anyway, so aspect ratio isn't going to tell you whether or not 2 rings will work well together. It's just going to tell you whether or not that ring size will work for the weave you're trying to do. That is its function. So only you can determine if what you made is you know, good looking or not. And don't worry about making ugly stuff. I have made a ton of ugly stuff, and it's made me a better chainmail artist. Will it rust? No, probably not. Monkey Tamer, how you doing? So this is stainless steel, right? Sorry. And it shouldn't rust. It will in the right conditions. If you throw it into the ocean, it's going to rust. or if you bury it underground. But there's no reason why it'll rust here in my basement, especially if people pick it up and move it around. And if it does rust, I will just throw it in the tumbler with some hot water and some blue liquid Dawn and tumble it until all the rust is gone. Stainless steel is pretty good. I think so. Okay, I know that like it's different people watching my stream every night. We have some regulars that show up, and so I have a tendency to be like, many of you will know or recall or remember, and it's like your first time hanging out. But the other day there was a big discussion in one of the Renaissance Festival fan groups, right? And it was disheartening because there was a lot of just bad and wrong information in there, and people encouraging what I consider to be poor solutions to the guy's problem that he had. Right? Like, people were recommending aluminum for what he wanted. He wanted a weighted vest. He didn't need a fancy chainmail shirt, but he wanted a weighted vest for to replace his rucksack for road marching or something. He's a fitness trainer, right? And I put my 2 cents in. But you know, for anyone saying something similar to what I was saying, there were a dozen or two people just encouraging some, like, oh, you should use galvanized steel because it's cheap, and, you know, stainless is hard to work with, and it's not, and okay. What kind of steel did they use in those times? So, when was steel invented? Okay, because like your historical chainmail is going to be like iron rings, and you'll need a historian. I don't know. Right? That's actually a really good question. When did they ever make chainmail from any kind of steel? It would have been mild steel, right? But I don't know when steel was invented. But they had swords and spears, so they had to have some kind of steel, right? So at some point they went from iron to steel, and I don't know when exactly that was. And on the timeline of chainmail, I don't know when that came into effect, to be honest. I want to say this. The Etruscans basically invented chainmail, and that's just in a province in northern Italy. And they introduced it to the Romans and the Celts. And the Romans went on to make, like, lorica plumata, or whatever their armor is called. And the Celts went and developed what we would consider European foreign one, or what you see in movies and shows and whatnot, right? So somewhere in there, steel came around, and I'm not sure when. And I'm not sure when they stopped using iron rings, or if they ever did use iron rings to make chainmail. I don't know. My assumption has been up to this point that it was all mild steel rings. But I realize that I could be very wrong. Like, it wouldn't be stainless steel, because that didn't come around till way later. It would be... it would have started as iron or mild steel, and just bin mild steel rings the rest of the time. So, and those rust, they need to be oiled and taken care of so that they don't fall apart, which is why it's really rare. So even the mild steel, it's really rare to find pieces of chainmail because it rusts and rots away. Okay? If you're, a knight on a horse and you get shot in the back and you fall into a river, right? Your chainmail is going away. But back to excellent question. I'll have to dig into that. Could you use copper and make a light one? Yeah, copper's pretty dense though. Like I have this. This is an aluminum cube, right? It's 3.77 pounds, right? So it's light-ish. If it were steel, this would probably, I think it is like 9 pounds. I don't remember the conversion. I'd have to look it up. But copper's not light. And it's pretty soft. But you can, okay, so for cubes, for just like chainmail fidget toys, okay? This is a bronze and stainless cube I'm working on. Right? And there's the sides I'm working on. I'm waiting for some more rings. But you can make a copper one of these. No problem. It's not... Everything can be destroyed with enough effort. Right? Like, it's not bulletproof. It's not, gonna be unbreakable in any meaningful manner. But if you're just looking for material to use, right, for jewelry or fidget toys or costume armor or whatever, there's a bunch to choose from. You can use steel, stainless steel, mild steel, galvanized steel. I don't know of anyone who makes iron rings. You can use aluminum, anodized aluminum, titanium, bronze, brass, all of those, to make whatever you want to make, right? And there are suppliers that will provide you with the rings to do so, which is what's nice about living in this day and age and not the medieval period where you'd have to build a big clay furnace and pour a bunch of iron ore down the middle of it and get it really hot and make a bloom, and then take your bloom and purify the ore, and it's a whole process to smelt ore. So I would rather have, chainmail ring suppliers and manufacturers that make this stuff so that I don't have to do it myself. Gold would be really something. Yeah. If someone made a gold fidget cube, that would be awesome. I would love to just have the funds to be able to put something like that together. Right? And there are people who make gold and silver rings. Stuff you can't get is like, you can't get platinum rings or tungsten. Tungsten's too brittle. I don't know. You might be able to get platinum rings now that I think about it. There might be one supplier I can think of that might have platinum rings, but I would have to double check. I don't think that they do, but they might. Right? Yeah, a gold cube would be awesome. That'd be heavy. adding gold to anything when you're working with precious metals, it adds a lot of weight for sure, but it sure does look nice. Maybe that's what I'll do. It's like I've got an aluminum cube started. Another one. I don't want to make cubes right now, to be honest, because I've spent a lot of time on this one, and I just finished up this one, and then I just made a 30-pound cube, right? So I'm like, I'm done with cubes. I'm just making these to get rid of some rings here, but you might convince. Oh, but I have this aluminum cube that I started, right? And I had one I was working on, and someone paid me enough money that convinced me to part with it. Hatchet Matt, how you doing? Do some people at medieval fairs have expensive armor? Yeah. Some people at medieval fairs have very expensive armor. You're working on a cube right now? Right on. So maybe what I'll do is, instead of buying a couple ounces of aluminum rings, maybe I'll save my money and buy some gold rings and start turning that into a cube. So at any kind of Renaissance fair, you're going to find all ranges of prices for the armor that people wear. Some people spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on their kit. Some people spend $20 at the thrift store. It just depends. Some vendors sell weapons that you can, leave their shop and go fight with. And some vendors sell wall hangers. Right? And it's the same for armor. You could probably make and sell armor. I could. I've sold a bunch of stuff at the Texas Renaissance Festival before. It was all consignment. A friend of mine needed he needed stuff for his shop that he rented. He rented the shop from someone else who wasn't going to be there that year. And because of the main chainmail vendor at the Texas Renaissance Festival, he got a lot of flack for selling chainmail, and it was overall a bad experience for him. That he didn't do that again. But I did sell a lot of stuff. So much so that the next year I went to the Texas Renaissance Festival, and I saw people wearing stuff that I had made. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Camera phones weren't like a thing back then, and so I didn't go up to them and be like, yo, can I take a picture? I totally would do that now. If I see you in public wearing anything I've physically made or anything from my store, I'm going to ask for a picture. But my local Renaissance Festival here, they have a very good chainmail artist, a good chainmail store. So I wouldn't want to get in and compete with them just because I'm friends with them, And I would not want to run a booth at a Renaissance Festival. I might vend one day and take all my print products with my chainmail designs on them and go and set up a table somewhere at like an Irish festival or the Highland Games or something. But it's highly unlikely that I will do any of that in the next 5 years. So, but we'll see what happens. All right, yeah, the zipper hanger broke on your luggage. You use one of your keychains to fix it. Very nice. I just made myself a keychain for my work car key fob last night. They have pretty good turkey legs. Yeah, I haven't been to the Renaissance Festival in a couple of years. I need to go again. But maybe next year. We'll see what happens. I think the last time I went, we tried some food, and my kid was real little, so he was real picky. And I remember not being a big fan of whatever the hell it was that we ate, because he didn't like it and I didn't care for it. You know, usually if you go to an event, right, like the county fair, you go for all the fried food and garbage that you're going to eat, right? You know, deep fried butter on a stick or whatever. And see here, if you've ever lived anywhere near New Braunfels, Texas, which is just north of San Antonio and like 40 minutes south of Austin, they have what's called the Wurst Fest, WURST, and it's a 10-day salute to sausage, and they've got a bunch of places to grab beer. They got a bunch of food vendors, and you can go and get any type of food that you want on a stick, deep fried, and it's amazing, right? But when I went to Bristol last, I was completely unimpressed with whatever it was my kid and I ate. It was edible, it just wasn't memorable, you know what I mean? So, but he got some food in him. He was little. He needed to eat. And then we went on the rides the rest of the day. I'm not in Texas anymore. I used to be stationed in San Antonio. And I moved from there to southeastern Wisconsin. So it'll be a long time before I get back down to Texas for any reason. Actually, it's going to be a long time before I get anywhere, right? So when I joined the Army, I made the mistake of like going home every year, which, you know, it's nice to see family and whatnot, but the reality is that you can go anywhere when you're on leave from the Army. You don't have to go home, right? And I never put that together. So I had friends in the military who would go on adventures and they'd go do fun things, and I'd go home and see my family. And I love my family, don't get me wrong. But right now, the remainder of my family in Idaho is mostly at an age where they're not going anywhere. They're not coming out to see me. They're buying plots at the local graveyard. You know, they're not 1 foot in the grave or anything, but I'm going to spend as much time with them as I can through the remainder of their years. So now I will be going home on all my vacations and whatnot. Whereas before, it's like I should have ran off and, you know, joined the circus while I was on leave from the military. So there's a pro tip, you know. If you're in the military and you're going on leave, don't always go home. All right. You get 30 days of vacation a year in the military. You know, you can go home for a week and then spend another week somewhere else and another week somewhere else, and I'm not saying to ignore your family. But, you know, live a little. That's all. All right. Almost done with this. One last project. One more bag of rings used up into something, right? It's no longer taking up space down here in my work area. And I don't know what we'll do next, but we'll figure out something. What is this song? Skip. I still haven't figured out my pretzel rock and why I don't have, like, all the music or access to all the music. So I don't know what's going on there. Play Pinball Wizard by The Who. I wish I had the option to just play whatever I wanted. I'm currently streaming to 5 different platforms right now. And one is YouTube, where I categorize all my videos, all my streams, to document what I'm doing. So that if I need to go back and look at what was I working on when, I can. And, you know, hopefully people stumble across my YouTube channel. But I stream to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and TikTok. This ring does not want to go in here. There's room for it. So I fall under copyright restrictions. I can do something. You guys want to listen to something else? We can press pause on this. And then we go over here and go to YouTube. And then we go copyright free rock music. All right, can you guys hear that? I can't get too loud with the music because then I can't hear myself talk. And I feel like I'm yelling over the music. All right. Come on, you little bugger. That used up almost all of the rings, which is perfect. Alright. So yeah, oh, and I mean it when I say that if you ever get the opportunity to go to Worst Fest in New Braunfels, Texas, just go, have some drinks, but eat the food. Get a brat, get a sausage, get a Reuben. There you go. They have really good Reubens there. I don't like sauerkraut, and I don't care for Reubens. But they have really good ones. A Reuben is a type of sandwich, for those of you not in the know. I didn't know what it was, which is why I'm sharing with you now what it is. All right. Come on. So, for my next project, I'll have to go through my pile of rings here and see if inspiration hits. So I want to take these 12 gauge half-inch rings and see if I can make that round mail 8 hilt chain thing. I'll have to double check my aspect ratio. But it looks like it might work. Another thing I could do. Oh, I don't have any more of those. Oh, puzzle piece o' death. We've been at this for an hour. Right on. I think the second cube took longer than that one I made last night because I got started at the same time and I had made... What all did I make? So I made a keychain that was decent size. I made this little capture, right? And then I spent a decent amount of time trying to get this European 8-2 sheet to work out of these 12 gauge half-inch rings. And if it had just a little more flex, I probably could have done something with it, but it's too tight for anything. So I did that last night. And I made a cube. So I think this cube took longer. It's hard to tell, but... which is fine. I'm not in any rush. I've got plenty of stuff to do. Plenty of stuff to keep me busy. Alright, how many rings do I have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I miss any spots on here where I could add another ring? What if I did? I wonder. If I add 1 or 2 up here, is that gonna work? Okay, no, that doesn't want to go. Why not? There's room. So I mentioned that comment section earlier about how there was a bunch of bad advice being given in a Renaissance Fair page, and like the people there obviously didn't know what they were talking about. And I mentioned this last night too, because one of the guys gave advice, said, I make my living off of making chainmail. And I was like, oh really? Do I know you? Have I heard of you? And I did not know him, and I have never heard of him. And I went to go look at his stuff that he's making a living off of. Absolute garbage. I was like, what is this? There's so much better stuff out there. What's going on, Mac? How you doing? So I brought that up because I wanted to talk about something that's been bothering me lately. I like a lot of the effort by people to come up with different ways to make chainmail, right? I do appreciate it. Just because I like it when people make chainmail from different medias. Okay, it gets this art out there. Excuse me. What I don't like is, like, there is many ways to make something look like it's made from chainmail. And it's gotten to the point where people are going out of their way to avoid just making the chainmail that they need for their costume or whatever. Oh, I put that ring in totally the wrong place. That's what I get for not minding my business. I should just let people be. People can do it whatever they want, right? But it's like, okay, you bought a 3D printer to print your chainmail something. Oh, we just listened to that one. Are these all just the same song? No, but they're all like 2 minutes long. Where is my page here? Where is my comment section? You're doing decent? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Today was payday. First payday for my new job, so I can't complain. But I am going to complain about people putting so much effort into making something look like chainmail when you can just make the chainmail itself. Right? Like, I need you to understand. It is not that hard, he said as he struggled with placing a ring right now. But I'm going overboard on this project. I don't need to do this. I'm just fucking around at this point. Like, you can just make the chainmail. You don't have to go to exorbitant lengths to get something that looks like chainmail, okay? You can make a quality piece. Is it going to be cheap? No. Is it going to take a lot of time? Yeah. Is it going to be better than whatever weird method you come up with? That depends on what your goal is, but yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, Sarah, how you doing? It's like, there's so much effort into making stuff that looks like chainmail that it's like, it's totally unnecessary to do that. Just get you some pliers, get you some rings, and put it together. It's just not that hard. Alright, I liked that I added those rings to the top. I'm gonna go grab my other little cube. Hang on a sec. So, and you don't have to listen to me, do whatever you want, but just realize that, you know, if you're going to spend a lot of time making something, okay, this is my thought process on it, and probably why this irritates me. Okay? I spend a lot of time making the stuff that I make. 90% of the stuff that I make, 95, 99, is going to survive. Little kids playing with it, it being tossed around, it being dropped. Okay? It's going to last until I pass and give it to my kid. Right? So I don't believe in making stuff that's going to not withstand the test of time. Right? You're doing fantastic. Planning out a mini skirt for a customer. Very, very nice. Very nice. In a world where we're supposed to like reduce, reuse, recycle, you know, Captain Planet style, whatever it was that I grew up on. I hate seeing so much effort being put into making stuff that's just, it will fall apart. Right? Jewelry and art that will last longer than your lifetime. Exactly. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy and I just don't get what the kids are doing. Plus, okay, if you have a piece of chainmail, right, it's going to last a really long time. You can use it for more than one outfit. like, I have a motorcycle vest that I go to the Renaissance Festival in, and I ride around wearing it. Come on. Come on. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just not so hard to make and figure out and learn that, well, it's just as hard and difficult to learn how to do all this stuff and make it and put it together as it is to find other roundabout ways of making it out of other materials to make it look like it's chainmail, right? Does that make sense to anyone? Am I just a madman? My old fuddy-duddy? It's like all these people in this guy's comment section were like, you can do this or you can do that and blah blah blah, and it's like you can just make it. Like it's not that hard. All right, you were in the tube bending industry prior to this. We had companies trying to make 3D metal. Yeah, and I get it. I don't like, you can make cool stuff with 3D printing. Okay, even chainmail, right? So I understand the desire to make something cheaper, faster. All right, there's our 2 cubes. Voila, they're done. And we used up every single ring. I don't even have to throw a single one away. Right? Fancy. Now I have 2 more cubes to throw on the pile of cubes. It's just a good way to use up rings, right? And I can reuse this bag for some other chainmail project. All right, what do we got? These are ring sizes that I ordered that I didn't need. I was testing a lot of ring sizes for a project. And I ended up using a different size and ordering a lot more. So I haven't made up my mind about what I can use these for something else. I don't have to use them up. They are rings from joshdiliberto.com or Joshua Diliberto, and they're quality, right? So I can figure out a nice finished product for these, right? And make them into a piece of jewelry. If I can find a weave that uses these 8 aspect ratios, right? So I'm going to put these back on the workbench. I'm not going to use those as like housekeeping things. Then I've got you were in the 3D metal printer to print bent tube, but the quality was garbage. Time to open and close about 200 rings. Yeah, nice. I've got some regular stainless steel rings in this little bag, and some blackened stainless steel in here. These are the old ones. They're slightly larger than the new ones that I used for the giant cube. What else have I got? And I've got, what size are these? This was written in pen on a plastic bag. These are 19 gauge 9/64ths. Right? Looks like you can only make a 2 connector Byzantine out of these. And they're old TRL rings. I can tell because the quality is poor. Every ring has a diagonal kerf, right? What to make with these? These are stainless steel, so maybe we can make something nice. I don't want to dump them all out, but alrighty. Is Sarah still here? Where'd she go? I was gonna ask her a question. I don't want these big pliers. I want my fancy, much more comfortable Xenon Plus with padded grips. Right? I want to get padded grips for the padded grips of these wubbers and these pliers that I got from my grandpa's junk drawer 100 years ago. I know they make them somewhere. Come on. Go back in your home. The AR for this is 3.65. So, what was I talking about? I have not seen your latest post. I haven't been on any social media really today. Maybe an hour at dinner or something. Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, what are you making the miniskirt out of? I'm going to assume steel, but it's a miniskirt, and they might have asked for something else. And, like, what weave are you going to use, and, like, what's the design process? And if your post was on Instagram, I haven't been on Instagram at all lately because my account is still locked and probably will forever be. Let me see if I can find something here. Is it in here? Maybe here. What is? Oh, that's a download file. I don't need that. This one? Trying to find all my designs. Oh, it's under the design folder. Imagine that. Let's see if I can look at a picture and figure out. I need a smaller picture than that. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if we can open this up and... It was a lobstering video on TikTok. I think I'm making bait sacks. I think I did see a lobster video somewhere. I don't want to update that right now. You're thinking of making bait sacks out of chainmail for your lobster traps? That'd be cool. Where was the program I just opened? There it is. I need to zoom in on this. Okay, I will refer to that picture as needed. Oops is good for 3.5. I don't know how to make oops. Alright, the bait sacks would soar a lot easier if they were made from chainmail. Let's do this. I'm going to look at Hoodoo Hex from a picture. And then just see if this ring size will work. Easy peasy. Currently we use hard plastic PVC rigid tube. Safety in numbers is a good one. Yeah. So I need to do more studying on weaves. I have a bunch that I know. Don't get me wrong, okay? What was the last weave I learned, right? Do I have an example of it? Trying to think. Might have been sandworm, actually. I don't see anything over there that particularly stands out. So there's a gap in my education. I learned a bunch of weaves early on starting out, and then I learned a few more. 8 and 1 last night, yeah. But I've never tried oops, safety in numbers, or Rosetta. going to guess this is how you start this. I don't know. Reference picture. Okay. And then, okay, I see. It's like there's a chainmail artist on the large Facebook group, right? And her name is Jennifer, and she makes all these patches, and I swear she uses a ton of different weaves to make these patches, and you know, half of them I've never even heard of. Oh, come on. Do this. For Hoodoo Hex, make a circle of 6 rings and then start adding the Mobius links. That's pretty much what I'm doing. That'd be a lot easier than the pattern you found. You didn't even attempt it. Make sure everything stays. Did I do that right? I don't know. I am fairly certain that this weave or this ring size will work for Hoodoo Hex. So I can explore options with that later. And then because these are kind of crappy rings, I won't be making a jewelry piece out of it. So I'll have to make a patch of it out of these rings and then find something to fit it to, right? Does that make sense? So in engineering, form follows function. You make the machine functional and then you put a plastic mold injected thing over the top of it. Did I do it? Yes. I think I did it. Ta-da! I'm not even going to try and pick it up and show you, but I got like the first essential unit on it. Let's see here. Let's do that. Alright, I wonder if it's possible to make a cube or layers of Hoodoo Hex. I know people make spheres with them, which makes me wonder. I've got 1, 2, 2 of these glass marbles remaining. Thought I had 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so maybe 3 of these remaining. Right? So I wonder if we can make a little wrap that'll fit perfectly around this out of Hoodoo Hex. Out of these rings. I probably have more than enough rings. All right. New project, new weave, new goal. Let's see here. What is going on? Advertising. That's what's going on. It's like it's copyright-free music, but you have to listen to every advertisement. Oh, nope, I didn't mean to do that. You're going to go to Twitch to look. I don't know how much you can see on Twitch versus here. It's tiny. Where's my reference photo? So what's next? We've got those two. Then you just make another loop of 6 and then... Okay. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. Josh DiLiberto produced... Okay. So, I don't want to give away secrets or anything. So I won't. But he did have a weave that came out in his monthly kits that he sends out. Twitch is way behind. I'm still working on the cube over there. That's crazy. That was how long ago? 20 minutes ago? I don't know what's going on. Maybe I should switch to T-Mobile and get